I made fun of his calves, and Brooks Horpeck ran over and told him, and then that created a little bit of a rift.
Wait,
But
what was the deal with the calves?
he's got tiny calves, like embarrassingly.
To this day?
Oh, yeah.
All right, this week's guest we have been trying to get for, I think, a year. He does a little work on TNT. He's got a podcast you may have heard of, and a nickname, 3 letters, 1 word, for the most part, that identifies him immediately. You know him as Biz. I know him as Paul.
Yes,
Paul Bissonnette,
that's
welcome
correct.
to the show.
What's up, gang? The first time we met was when you were first getting your career started, and I think it was maybe a game show. I don't know.
It was a reality
show
in Toronto. Gillette drafted the search for Canada's next sportscaster. You were still playing.
Right.
And I had been working there 6 months. I had won the show the previous year.
Okay.
But I'll never forget meeting you because I had red pants on with a navy tank top, and you had red shorts on
we
with
looked
a
like
black top.
idiots.
It was like
We looked like idiots.
did.
And now we're all in black. We just keep it very simple these days,
We're just riding the same wave, apparently.
Well, you were a natural from the beginning, and I'm so happy for everything you've been able to accomplish. You're all over the place. You're doing the wrestling thing, you're doing the hockey thing, and then freelancing, doing everything else. So happy for you, Jackson. Thanks for having me.
Well, listen, feeling is mutual because you are also all over the place. Like, who do you think sleeps in their own bed more, me or you?
I bet you were probably on the road just as much as each other. It's been a bit of a whirlwind, but now that I'm doing the TNT gig and I'm in Atlanta every week, I would say probably you.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I thought you were gonna make a joke and say probably me for other reasons, but you know, we won't go down that road.
I was trying to keep it PG, and then she's coming and swinging off the hop, but...
Listen, we're not on national television.
That's
We're on
true.
YouTube. You can kind of do mostly what you want.
Well, I did finally get my renovation done in Paradise Valley in Arizona, so I do officially have a home. I'm not renting anymore, so that's really nice. And since playing there, I've made it home, and finally I'm settled in. So that's my home base as of now.
Okay, good. Well, I can tell you got the tan going.
Yeah.
You're looking brown. Yours is real. Mine is fake. It is what it is. But you know, you have so much going on.
Yep.
Podcast, TNT. I mean, the podcast, it almost feels like a disservice even calling it that because there's so many branches of it now with Spit and Chicklets and the Sandbagger stuff that you do and everything else. Have you surprised yourself with where you're at?
I would definitely say so, yeah. And it's one of those things where I just always been a person to just kind of put my head down and, work and when things pop up, always usually say yes.
Yeah.
And just kind of over time, it's just evolved. I mean, it started with my Twitter account when I was playing with the Coyotes. I always go back to them because I'm so grateful that they were a non-traditional franchise, so they were very open and receptive to new ideas and gaining attention, especially media-wise in any way. And it kind of just all evolved from there. And I was doing, work with the league and our buddy Matty here behind the scenes.
He bugs you a lot, doesn't he?
He's the best. we had some fun early days, and it just kind of evolved into obviously the podcast has been a big component to that. I don't think I'm sitting on the TNT panel without the podcast.
For sure.
And just even from the early days of when I retired, getting to do radio for the Coyotes, I got to work with a gentleman, Bob Heathouse, and he kind of nurtured me and took me under his wing. And
one of your early broadcasting mentors, maybe? Safe to say that-ish?
No doubt,
Okay.
and the reason I always go back to it is because when you're doing color on the radio, is you're talking for 3 hours. So when when you're doing a podcast and you're filling in time and you got to be used to kind of that sort of quote unquote conditioning. I know it's not like running a marathon.
No, but it is a skill to understand how to pace that out.
Yeah,
Sure.
and the brain power and everything. So when I look back, it's I would say I've definitely surprised myself and just very grateful for the way that it's all kind of panned out.
And your whole crew feels like a family in a lot of ways. It starts with you and Whit, right?
Yep.
Your whole Twitter exchange. Everyone knows the story, so we don't
Yep.
need to go down that road. But have you and Whit ever gone back and listened to your first ever episode or recording?
No, I have never. No, I don't listen to a lot of them. Now I go back and I'll listen to a lot of the interviews.
Yeah.
Just because when you're in the midst of the interview, sometimes you forget what the answer was. 'Cause,
Yeah.
you know, if I wasn't the one who asked the question, like sometimes I'm thinking about what I'm going to ask next. But no, I met Whit when we were in training camp for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he was a funny bastard from the beginning, man. And it was more him ripping on me from the beginning. Maybe not so like fun-loving at the start, but it definitely evolved into a friendship.
Okay, you won him over time.
Because he was a smart, intelligent BU kid, and I was, he calls it the show HL. Like,
Wow.
oh yeah, show HL guy, Toronto, oh yeah, oh, you know, and he just mocked me.
I can actually hear him saying that.
And then I actually, I made fun of his calves, and Brooks Horpeck ran over and told him, and then that created a little bit of a rift.
Wait, what was the deal with the calves?
He's got tiny calves, like embarrassingly.
To this day?
Oh yeah, like he should be doing calf exercises every day. I mean, I might chop my legs off if I had calves as small as his. So now
He's
when
like
you get it,
walking, he's an Achilles injury just waiting to happen. He's
yeah,
not got no calf muscles.
yeah, exactly.
He'll love that you're saying this, I'm sure.
I bet you he can't wait to get on here and then rip me back. And he'll have about
Listen,
20.
I would love to have Whit on. I
Yeah.
don't feel like he does a lot of.
No, he's more of a family man, but yeah, he is so funny, so quick-witted, and he's a lot smarter than I am. He's well-read, as they say.
He's well-read. Are
Yeah.
you? How many? Do you read?
Yeah, I read Twitter. I read Instagram comments, and I haven't done the TikTok thing yet.
But if you were to do TikTok, what would you do? Like,
That's why I haven't started. I haven't like figured out an angle.
like what's your
about-
thing?
Yeah, I have definitely been more intrigued in the acting and doing more of that type
Like
of thing.
skits?
Yeah, like skits. Like I would like to do more of that stuff where it's a little more thought than just doing the wiggle dick dances.
Okay.
Is that what they call them?
I mean, that's what you call. Don't call
Yeah.
them that now,
Yeah,
baby.
you know, like the Josh Richards and the stuff where they're doing all like the sexy dances for the ladies.
Yes.
Yeah,
So do you have like a favorite hockey TikToker? Like there's quite a few guys that have made names for themselves.
I mean, I follow like the Chippies, like Coach Chippy.
love Coach Chippy.
He's hilarious. He's ripped on
I've
me.
never met him before, but I like die laughing at his skits.
I'm drawing a blank right now, but there was a few guys who they do the coaches, and they actually just did one with Brad Marchand yesterday.
Oh, I didn't see
You
it.
guys know the name? What's the
What
name?
are they called?
Okay. all
Coach
right.
Sonic.
We're gonna tag the name of these guys.
Well, just
below
like
and-
when we look it up, we'll just ting. There it is right there.
Thank you.
All right, well, maybe a TikTok for biz is in the future, but
Yeah.
you've got the podcast, you've got TNT. I don't know if you could fit anything else into your schedule, but like, what is your end game? Like, what is your goal now? What's the dream?
Well, I just mentioned I would probably in the future like to try to do a little bit more acting. Like that's not
Really?
something I've ever, like I've done a little bit of it. We've done fun commercials in the
Yeah.
past where we've gotten hired to do that, but just try to evolve and learn and grow in other ways. But for right now though, with TNT, with the podcast and like we do the Sandbaggers and everything else, I'm happy with where it's at and trying to perfect and do a really good job of those, and
Yeah.
then maybe try to branch out later on. I think, I don't know if it was Matthew McConaughey or somebody I remember giving advice in one talk he was giving, and it's, you know, sometimes you could spread yourself a little too thin. If you try to be the master of like 2-3 things,
Yeah.
sometimes that's actually better than trying to kind of overcomplicate and
Like
continue.
jack of all trades,
Master of none,
or
yeah.
whatever it is.
But not to be contradictory, what I said before is, I think the reason I got to where I was is because I didn't say no to a lot of things.
I relate to that.
Yes.
I've like never turned down a gig in the first like 10 years that I was working.
Yeah.
I was like horse racing, yep, diving, sure, swimming, let's go. Like I did everything.
And I'm sure it taught you in some ways, like you would be going in with anxiety and nerves and feeling like you were a fish out of water.
Dude, I covered Canadian diving and I didn't know a thing. Like I knew nothing. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
No, we like the F-bombs
And
here.
Alex Despatie, former Canadian diver, he was like
Okay.
the expert, and he taught me so much. Him and Rob Faulds. Canadians will know Rob Faulds. He does
Okay.
a lot of curling coverage.
That's awesome.
But I remember coming out of that and being like, because hockey was always my dream. Like I was like, I just really want to cover hockey. That's like my genuine passion. Had never done it at that point. And I came out of 3 days of covering Canadian diving in Gatineau, Quebec, actually. And I was like, I crushed that. If I can do that, imagine how I'll feel doing a sport I actually
you're a natural.
love and know. So you do learn from those things that challenge you.
What led to the WWE stuff?
So I was a WWE fan as a
Yeah,
kid.
because you seem extremely knowledgeable. Those interviews, they're so
Thank
high
you.
energy. They obviously are very professionally trained as well, like with how they can riff. And
it is like truly a traveling circus there. But one of my first ever opportunities to host a show was at Sportsnet. The host, Renee Paquette,
Yes, yes.
had left, and she was hosting a wrestling show on Sportsnet where they would just talk about what happened. And they called me up and were like, "You ever watch wrestling?" I was like, "Well, yeah, when The Rock was doing The Rock Bottom."
Who wasn't?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they're like, "You think you could get back into it?" I go, "To be on TV? Absolutely. Like, let's go. I'll get back into it." And then I started watching it again, and I was like, this is so fun. Like,
Yeah.
how can you not have a good time watching wrestling every week and then just talking about it with 3 other people? It was such a fun job.
I think that you're just as synonymous with WWE as you are with the NHL now.
You think?
I
don't know
mean,
about that.
I don't know. I see all the clips. I think you do a wonderful job,
Thank you.
and you're always in the mix. So that actually would be a fun thing to. I do these Road Warrior shows where I
Yes.
go branch off and hang out with someone for a day. I would like to do it with a wrestler where they teach me how to wrestle.
Okay, dude, let's hook it up.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Okay.
I actually was gonna ask you because, we have at WWE someone who I think, like, I kind of refer to you as like hockey's Pat McAfee. Like, I
Okay.
feel like you were Pat McAfeeing before Pat McAfee was doing it in some ways with like your Twitter and
He's
then
a
your
juggernaut.
start.
Yeah,
he is.
he's a
But so are
juggernaut.
you. And I
not
think,
not even near that standard, but I'll take that as a
but in
compliment.
our world,
Yes.
that is, I think there are a lot of similarities
No
there.
doubt, no doubt.
And he has had wrestling matches. Would you, if you ever found yourself in a beef with a WWE superstar, would you entertain the idea?
Oh, I would for sure get in the ring. I'd have like a
You
little
get in there with
T-bar
Logan
on.
Paul
Oh yeah, I'd
and
be stuffing my
throw
drawers.
it down?
I'd wear like the old leather boots.
Stuffing my drawers, is that
I'd
what
have
he
to.
said?
I'd have to have the high knee boots. I actually went as, was it, who's the one who used to carry the big 2x4 around? Is it Hacksaw Jim Duggan?
Yeah, yeah.
I went as Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
I
for-
saw that actually, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was a
It was
picture.
a few years ago, maybe.
Yeah, it was for a Halloween party we had with the Arizona Coyotes. And then, I brought a girl who was a playmate, and she was Pocahontas, so it was quite the, we don't need to dive into that, though.
What happened there? How did things, no, I'm just kidding.
She's married with kids now, and we still follow each other, and she's doing
It's
great.
all good.
Yeah.
Is Paul Bissonnette single? Are you dating?
I'm single. I was with a girl for just over 3 years. She's doing awesome. She still has
Good.
our dog, and just didn't work out. I think that the road and the traveling and the addiction to work is probably doesn't make relationships that sustainable. But I learned that the hard way. And but yeah, no, she was an unbelievable person, and I'm glad we're still friends today.
Yeah, I put you on the spot there until you ask
No,
you that.
you're
but-
good. No,
But I think people want to know who you are, right?
Yeah.
And like kind of what you're about.
I'm an open book. I'll talk about any of that stuff. Yeah. So she's doing good. She's got our boy Lloyd. I still
I was
have
gonna say, what was your
Lloyd.
dog's
Actually,
name?
it's my phone's over there. I'll show the screensaver after, but he's an unreal dog.
What kind of dog?
He's a German wire hair pointer with a little bit of lab.
Okay.
Yeah.
No idea what that is, but I'll look at the picture.
They are great.
Thank you.
Let's see here. Let's get that. There he is there.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
he's
he's a
so cute.
Just a great dog too.
Oh my gosh, he's so handsome. Why Lloyd?
A Lloyd Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we went and saw him, and he was just a goofy guy, and we figured, that it suited him. It was either that or Maverick, because that was the street name I lived on, and it went between those two.
Okay,
and,
Maverick's cool too.
Yeah.
But I like Lloyd. I
Lloyd.
think Lloyd's better.
Yeah,
You chose right.
Yeah.
All right, back to the wrestling thing. Like, what would your finisher be, do you think? Like, what kind of a finishing move would you?
The Prime Mantis.
Okay, because we had CM Punk on our show last year, and I can't remember why he called you out, but he did. I would not be a serious journalist if I did not ask for your expert opinion on Paul Bissonnette fighting Bowie at the Winter Classic. I assume you saw the clip.
The people's elbow. Dropped by Biz from the top rope. Boom.
People's elbow 4 out of 10. I mean, just choice of move. I understand safety being paramount and everything like that, but you know, like I would like to see Biz like maybe pick him up.
Yeah.
You know, we can go real old school and do airplane spins, especially goon like Biz. Come on.
Yeah. I mean,
you should have put him through the
come
table.
on. We
Should have put him
expected
through the
more of
table.
you, Biz. We expected more of you.
Yeah.
I would fight him in a heartbeat.
Would you? Have you
Yeah.
had him on your show?
We have not. We're
Because
going
he's
to.
a massive hockey fan.
Big Blackhawks guy. I don't think he would do
Huge.
it now that after I went after Bedard's defensive
Okay,
game.
can we talk about that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. One of the things that I find really cool about you is that you seem to handle any and all criticism pretty well.
Yeah.
Which, from personal experience, is so
I love it.
hard.
Yeah.
How do you have you always been this way? And if not, how did you learn how to deal with it?
Yeah, I think it's just you gain thick skin over time. Having been on Twitter, I was on Twitter
How
in
long
the.
does it take? Because I'm
Yeah,
No,
oh,
just
you're still a little
kidding.
sensitive on there?
I go through ebbs and flows. Sometimes I don't care at all, and then once in a while, someone will just say the right thing to you on the wrong day, and you're like, why is this ruining my day?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Do you
in
know
that.
what I mean?
Yes, I think early days that would affect me a little bit, but you know, as time went on, I just grew thick skin. And also in my profession now, if I am being a little bit critical, I have to understand that people are gonna like disagree with my opinion and then come back the other way. In regards to the Bedard thing, I thought it was awesome at their fan base and their media and their team. Like,
Yeah.
I've had 2 original 6 franchises dunking on me on Twitter this year and Instagram, and I think it's great for the sport. I think it's great for the league, and it's nice to see even maybe like original 6 teams are normally a little bit stuffy,
Yep.
and they take themselves very seriously. It's good to see them evolving where you know the world is, and I think that from an entertainment perspective, people want that.
Yeah, I think people and fans of hockey especially want authenticity.
Yes.
And I think that you bring that. I think that's why it works so well for you on TNT and on Spit and Chicklets as well. And I think too, anytime that people are talking about the league and talking about its players, whether it's controversial
Yes.
or not, is a win, right? Because
Yeah.
we're not the NFL. And so in order for us to grow the game, we need people to give a shit about Connor Bedard and defending his honor and going up against what you're saying or what Messier might be saying or whoever it is.
Yeah.
How do you, as a guy that is definitely a player-friendly media guy because you have relationships with so many
Yeah.
players, how do you balance sort of maybe when to criticize, when to not, or even just dealing with maybe
Yeah.
a broadcast afterwards?
Yeah, like in that case, it's on the broadcast, and I'm an analyst, so the play happened and I did it. Sometimes if I have time to give it a little bit more thought, maybe I'll try to avoid being as critical. But you're trying to keep your credibility and just kind of going back to what you said about like how the NHL has to kind of stick out more so than other traditional sports or popular sports like the NFL. I think that the league has done an exceptional job, especially over the last like 5 to 10 years in adapting and doing that, especially from a social standard. So yeah, that's definitely been one thing the longer that I've been retired that's been a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Because when you feel like you're just separated from it, you've played with half the guys or against half the guys, and then they can remember how brutal I was. So at least this new wave is like, oh, I think this guy was brutal, but I didn't watch him play, so I can maybe get away with it a little bit more.
Yeah, and you're gonna get to the point too where guys playing in the league are like, I listened to Spit and Chicklets
Yeah.
my whole life growing up.
I looked up to that guy, now he's insulting my play.
I'm such a big Biz fan.
I had to
but-
match you on the F-bomb, sorry, Maddie. We're
I know, we're
1-1.
both, it's so bad.
Gary's gonna love it.
You know, Gary Bettman is such an interesting person to me, but he's also like sneaky funny.
He
Like
is.
every time I'm around him, I'm like, why did nobody ever tell me that
He's
Gary
emoji
Bettman?
gang too. Sends
Okay, I didn't
emojis.
know that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, see, you text with Gary.
I'm an emoji guy.
Okay, I'm an emoji girl, but
Okay.
I text with Gary. I'm
Just
not
send
on
him
your
a few
level.
emojis and like your relationship. You'll be co-hosting with him the show.
Okay,
That's
let me ask you this then. As an emoji guy,
Yeah.
what is your go-to or favorite, most used emoji?
Probably the crying, laughing one. And,
Oh, okay, that's
and-
basic.
Yeah, I'm basic. Oh, I'm basic. Just ask Whit. He hates the crying, laughing emojis. I like the wave.
Okay.
The wave, like, hey, how you doing?
Will you hit someone with that just to start
let
a
me look
combo?
if I were to text somebody, what would be the first one to
Like
pop
your
up?
most recent?
First one, crying, laughing.
crying,
And then I get the
laughing.
blowing kisses.
And then
We're not going to talk about that one,
Number
though.
3. No, I'm surprised it's not
I
first.
send that to Whit.
Yeah.
That's why he hates the emoji. Not Gary, though. Gary, I'm not sending you the blow kisses.
Yeah, Gary's not
Although
getting
you've done
the
a hell of a
kiss
job.
emoji. You brought up the sandbagger stuff.
Yep.
We just had Robert Thomas on the show at the Winter Classic.
I think I could beat him. I think me and
Okay.
the partner could beat them.
Who would you want as your partner?
I'll take Braden Shen. I think we got him.
And you think you beat them?
Yeah.
And he was calling you guys out. He wants to take you guys down.
Sure.
Do you have anything in the works with him yet?
So a lot of these guys want the noise, and then they get there, and then the bright lights, and it just becomes too big, and then they shrivel. Like
Okay.
we had Justin Williams on
Yep.
with him and
Mr.
Eric
Game
Cole.
7.
Mr. Game 7, one of the most clutch hockey players of all time.
Not afraid of the lights.
And it was getting tight towards the end, and he's a scratch golfer, and he shanked one. And we ended up coming back. I want to say we were down 3 in the match, and we came from behind and beat them. And I don't think he's been the same since. So when I tell you that things change when all of a sudden the camera crew's around, things change. So if Robert Thomas and those sausage fingers of his want the noise, you ever shaken his hand?
I don't think I did actually at the Winter
Don't.
Classic.
He'll crush your hand. He's got
Okay.
sausage fingers on him. Yeah. Don't trust him at all. I would imagine he can grip a golf club. So anytime he wants to bring the noise, Thomas, bring it. I don't know who your partner's going to be, but maybe I don't think Tiger Woods in his prime could save you, buddy. Because once you get to the sandbaggers, buddy, welcome to the noise.
Wow.
Yeah.
What surprised you most about your career so far?
The fact that I'm sitting on a panel with Wayne Gretzky,
Yeah.
that's probably the number
Yeah.
one.
Probably a silly question by me.
No.
How could it not be that?
Yeah, it's like, and it's crazy how the job came about, because when the whole panel was getting put together and they asked him to do it, and I think Trevor and Ty, who I'd actually hung out with when I was playing with the Coyotes, because they were going to ASU, the market was down.
Sorry.
And Wayne had coached the year prior,
Yeah.
before I even got there.
Yeah.
And he had this beautiful mansion in PV, and they kept it because why sell it? The market was down. And they were living at the house with another buddy of ours, Joey Superstein. So
Okay.
I was over there, and it's like, this is unreal. These guys are going to university, living in this house. And they would obviously throw a few after parties, and we all became very friendly. To the point where one time we brought over a couple rookie parties. We brought over the Islanders at one point in Tampa Bay.
Okay.
And then one time Tom Green came over, and he was like on the
He
piano.
was just there?
I think Trevor was playing the piano, and he had a guitar. No, because we became friends from just watching him do stand-up. and
Okay.
We'd met him in Nashville, but I digress. And when they were talking about the show, Trev, I think he was just like, you guys should get Biz to do it. And he was like, oh, okay, all right. And then he said that, and then
Yeah.
they brought me in for an audition, and it worked out. And just
Who'd you audition with? Was
I-
Gretzky there?
No,
Okay.
of course not. You know, he doesn't
Well.
have to do those. It was me, Ace, and Liam.
Oh,
And-
it was you, Ace, and Liam.
and we
okay.
did a little run through, and the chemistry developed early. And
Sure.
At first, when I got the email, we have this prankster buddy who follows the pod, and he's
Okay.
a buddy of Whit and Yans. His name's Foles, and I thought he was messing with me. I thought he was
Stop.
pretending to be a TNT worker, sent me an email, and I'm like, oh yeah, Foles, good one.
Who was it actually that emailed you though? Was it Z?
I think it was Z.
Okay,
Yeah.
shout out to
Yeah,
Z. at
yeah.
TNT.
Z's the mother hen at TNT.
Yeah.
She kind of runs the ship.
She's the best. What's the biggest thing you've learned from Wayne working with him?
Alumni and the Players Association,
Yeah.
and how much work and how much he cares about the game itself, and just how he treats people. And I'm from Welland, Ontario, from a small town. Like, I've always been good and just grateful the fact that anybody even wants to come up and say hello to me. So just like I said, just the way that he carries himself. I've since, because of him, tried to become more involved with the alumni.
Yeah.
And with Kelly Chase, who he's close with, does a lot of work with the alumni. Glenn Healy, who we've had on the podcast a few times, and Chelios, and all those guys just care so much about the
Yeah.
former players who set the foundation up for the NHL to have success, and the players of today. So I would say that's like the biggest thing that I've taken away from him. And he's in a hockey encyclopedia. He remembers every single story,
Which
all
is
the
crazy.
details. It's wild. So getting to sit around with him when we have dinner, or whether it's after a show if we're having a couple drinks, like just even being able to listen to him and go back in time through a time machine in the hockey world is
Yeah.
amazing.
You probably can't really share any stories, so I won't ask you to share your favorite Gretzky story unless you have one that comes to mind.
It's more about just like his love and appreciation, and like even yesterday on the panel when we were talking about the Hockey Canada stuff,
Yeah.
where he got to meet Guy Lafleur at a young age and get to play with him, and he idolized him growing up. His love for Gordie Howe and just how Guy Lafleur would go to the rink at like 1 o'clock after pregame meal.
Yeah.
So he started doing that and going to the rink sooner, and eating a hot dog and a pop before the game.
Yeah.
His pregame meal was a hot dog and a pop. And
Well, you
he's
see what the greats are doing, and you kind of want to like emulate it a little bit, right? Like we were talking about this at the Canada-Sweden game. It's like, Connor McDavid's getting to spend quality time around Sidney Crosby. Like, I'm sure there will be things that Sid does where Connor goes, oh, like maybe I can implement that like into my routine or what I'm doing. Like, I think that upper echelon of guys are always looking for things, especially from the most elite to ever play.
And I mean, not to say that McDavid wasn't doing it, because he's one of the hardest workers in the world. But after the game, they get an optional morning skate. Who's on the ice first?
Nate the Great and Sid the Kid.
It's awesome.
The Nova Scotia boys,
Like,
obviously.
it gives me chills. It
Yeah.
makes me so grateful to be a Canadian, the way that these guys carry themselves. And not many people can devote their lives and be so dedicated to one thing. And these guys have put every fiber of their being into it, and it's a cool thing. And I guess it's kind of coming full circle at the fact that we're doing this at the Four Nations and
Yeah.
just where the league's at, and it's such in a strong place. And those guys, along with Wayne, are such a big reason for that.
It does too. Like, I'll just speak for myself, but like it inspires you to apply the same sort of like tenacity and dedication to what you're doing, right?
No
Like,
doubt.
I look at that, I'm like, if these guys can do the schedule that they do and work as hard as they work, like, why can't I get better, find ways to do things differently, you
No
know?
doubt.
So I'm constantly like looking for those little like bits of inspiration. We talked to Keith Tkachuk earlier,
Okay.
and he was giving me the gears,
About me?
mostly off camera, about both of us.
Okay.
What is one thing that you and I share in common? We'll see if you can guess it.
We're Canadian.
Yep.
We rooted for the Oilers during the finals.
Good guess, but no. We're both big Leafs fans,
Oh.
and we're open about it. And he was like, between you and Biz,
You and Biz. Oh.
it's enough with the Leafs.
No, I'm done with the Leafs.
Like, I don't want to hear about it.
Because I'll get in trouble for what I say about the Leafs.
What do you mean? The league. Imagine the Stanley Cup Finals in Toronto.
Oh my gosh.
My prediction is Edmonton, Toronto in the final.
You think that's what's going to
All
happen?
Canadian final. Cup's coming home. Gary, you hear that? Better get a little help with some calls on the officiating.
Okay,
can't do-
so let's talk Leafs though, because
Yeah.
you're such a big Leafs guy. I was born and raised a Leafs fan. I love that we live in a time where people can be involved in the media and still be open about like who they cheer for, who they root. Like, that was not
That's
a thing
another thing I get
15 years
flack
ago.
on Twitter about is like, oh, he's a homer on the broadcast.
Yeah, I've gotten it before too, and I'm like, I'm not like the Leafs beat reporter. Like, this is not a
Thank you.
conflict of interest
Thank you.
for me. Like, unless I'm actively being a homer in a serious situation, what are we even talking about?
Yeah,
you know
I
what I
won't do
mean?
that.
Exactly.
Yeah, like on the panel next to Gretzky.
Yeah. Are the Leafs different this year?
Yeah, I just think that the maturity of the group is in a different place compared
Okay.
to a few years ago, and I think that this is definitely the start of the years where it's their primes.
You know what I think too, and just for time purposes, because this isn't coming out for like Four Nations will be over, but we are the day after Mitch Marner scores the OT winner
Yeah.
for Canada over Sweden. I was saying this to my father the other day, is that I think this tournament is so important for Mitch Marner
Yep.
because the knock on him is, he kind of disappears in the big games. We didn't disappear in a pretty big game between Canada and Sweden last night.
Having Mitch in that locker room and those guys rubbing off on him, I believe in him. And when the chips are on the table and he's playing for a contract, I would imagine he's probably 2 points per game come playoff time.
Favorite Leaf of all time, from one Leaf fan to another.
I went to the Penn Center in St. Catharines, and I was a Leafs fan growing up. But obviously, when you start playing and you know want to meet the pros, you don't really become. You're not a fan of the game
not
anymore.
The same.
But Doug Gilmour was there, and I had a leather Maple Leafs baseball cap on, and I didn't have much time, and I was able to get to the front of the line, and he signed it.
How old
And
were you?
I was probably at the time, 10, 11 years old.
Oh my gosh.
And that was the Doug Gilmour era. That was when they went to the finals, when I was growing up against the Kings, when he got high stuck by Gretzky. I also remember my dad always, like he was a Canadiens fan growing up. And remember when Dougie did the milk commercials, and he was painted like
Didn't
the
he have
cow?
the milk legs? Like
I think
the
he
cow
was-
legs.
I think
he
he
had
was-
cow legs.
yeah, cow
and
legs.
His wife was in it with him.
Yeah,
His first wife.
it might. Yeah,
I
look,
don't know.
I think it was painted,
Yeah,
but
it
might have
was.
been. It might have been leggings, but.
No, I think it was painted.
I remember my
maybe.
dad always being like, Dougie, Dougie, because they used to do it in the ads on the radio. So Doug Gilmour was definitely my guy.
I can't believe you brought up the cow legs
Yeah.
commercial because my dad and I joke about that all the time too.
So Dougie G.
Dougie G's your guy. Good answer. My last question.
okay.
You've had a lot of guys on Spittin' Chicklets. Dream guest. Like you could have anyone in the world go on Chicklets tomorrow. Who do you want to talk to?
Oh man, I won't narrow. I can't narrow it down to one. I would say that Brett Hall is a white whale of ours. Ovechkin.
Ooh, Ovi would be great.
Yeah, it would be fun, especially if we were able to like do a little bit more digging about what was going on in Russia, like all the fun backstories to even before he got to pro. It's always fun getting the old guys on because they got the best stories.
And they're probably more open, right? To like talk about stuff because they're done playing. They're not worried about
Yes.
anything else.
Oh, I'd say
I try to get Ty.
I-
Ty's always inviting me up for cigars, but won't come on the show.
I would say Ovi and Hall will be at the top of the
Those
list.
are your top two.
Yeah, and I'm drawing a blank on other names, but there's plenty of white whales that we want. Oh, Bobby Orr
Oh
would
my
be
gosh.
incredible, and he's
Yeah.
down in Florida quite a bit. So hopefully when we're there, we can snag him. He would be awesome.
Those are three pretty good ones.
Yes. So that's it. That's a wrap. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, cool.